Ooh. Hey Scorpio, your cards are just jumping out as I was shuffling then. Um, okay, I'm gonna put these ones in second position. Interesting. Same as Libra so far. So guys, welcome to your September reading.
Yum yum.
We have Venus in retrograde and Mercury in retrograde as I'm recording. Venus goes direct at the beginning of September, so you may be watching this as it's going direct. But I'm finding that these readings have a lot of love and relationships within them. So it's quite interesting. See what's in store for you. So this first column represents you, the self. And the first card is you've created this situation and you have the power to change it. Which means if there's any struggles that you're going through, the answer is inside of yourself. You have this power to change it. If you don't like it, let's get started. That's literally what this feels for me. I feel like it's very much let's stop procrastinating, let's begin. Now you are the leader of your life, so this is basically saying that if something's not in alignment with you, you no longer need to keep hold of it. And you also don't need to ask permission to whether or not to do something because you're a grown-ass adult, right? And so you're going to make your own choices. And it comes with having the strength to do that and realizing that actually even in the times where you have felt no control, that lack of control is literally your control. I think a lot of times we realize that, like, we think to ourselves that I have no control over that time, and that's just because you chose to control that situation by giving that control to somebody else, if that makes sense. It's like no matter what you do, you have choices. Now, in order to get past this, we have let go of fear now and use your imagination, and you'll see the answer. So if you have Libra in your chart, head over to there because they have literally these cards in the same position, but it does have different meaning. How I'm reading this for you does not feel the same as how it felt for Libra. The let go of fear now, I feel as though you have just, again, there's this feeling of control. Again, you're a little bit too scared to really get and have exactly what you want, Scorpio, which is a little bit out of character to a degree, because I feel like naturally just being able to go for what you want can come quite naturally for you, but I feel like something's happened to you in the more recent past. I said recent future, so there could be something happen to you really presently that's causing this energy that has made you feel as though you need to be a bit wary of something. And this card basically says to kind of let go of those worries. It creates like a self-imposed wall that prevents us from taking action that we need. It also can create confusion. Now, paired with this, use your imagination, you'll see the answer. It very much is like trust in your intuition, but also get creative. And maybe if you have been thinking like this is the only way it's going to go, it's sort of saying like there's more than one option for this. We don't have the you have many options and so explore them, but I feel like it's more if you've been thinking a certain way that maybe it's not as creative as it can be, or that you can be more creative with the direction that you thought you needed to take. But it's really like it feels as though you're bringing something into creation. It's not quite here yet, and it starts with the thought process, because in the let go of fear card, I am seeing the third eye. It's about envisioning something. And then you have this use your imagination. So it's about really creating something by visualizing. So that's quite interesting. And this you've created the situation, you have the power to change it card, again, is about visualizing and bringing it into the present. So I really feel like this is the energy that you're in. It's really about creating something for yourself. This was in reverse. Pay attention with these cards. Be gentle with yourself. This is saying, like, I feel as well sometimes when we are creating something that it comes from a place of vulnerability. So when we do anything that comes from a place of vulnerability, it means it's authentic to us, that we care so much about it, we want it to work out. And this card's saying, like, be kind to yourself, because it can bring out that rawness of, like, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to be devastated, or and again, these are the fears that we create because it's something that if it doesn't work, maybe it might cause something that we're trying to prevent and protect ourselves from. But again, that's made up things. It's not something that actually exists. Something we're fearful that could come into existence. And if that's your focus, that's what you're going to manifest, right? So it's about focusing on taking care of yourself and checking in if you are feeling any which way. being kind to yourself and realizing that you are only human and it's natural to feel this. Now, these second set of signs that I'm doing, because I did the first four yesterday, I'm doing, or the day before, and then today I'm doing the next four, and they are much more about grief and processing, feeling heavy, deep feelings. And I'm definitely feeling this a little bit of a vibe for you, Scorpio, of maybe just grieving the vulnerability of the moment. Maybe you have high expectations of yourself, and being kind to yourself for that. If things don't work out, that's not a failure. It's an opportunity to shift and change things to fit better for a better result, right? Now, this column has typically been the relationship column. Though for you second set of signs so far, I haven't looked at yours to it. I'm just sort of on this trail of thought. It's much more beyond this. It seems as though the focus needs to be separate from relationships, as though you second sets of signs are like, no, there's love here, but it's driving us towards our something more. But we'll see what this means for you. We have two cards here. Admit the truth to yourself and act accordingly. And it is with God is in charge. Something just is the way that it is. Now, I do think this is relationship regards to you guys. Because what hit me as soon as I'm reading this is this has been with you before. I've said this. I've had this card with you before, Scorpio, that you need to admit when something is done and be done with it. Roonies, put your boobies away, please. You're on the video. I can see you. I'm gonna put my arm there, sorry guys. Admit it to yourself and act accordingly means that there's something you already know that you've maybe potentially been avoiding or not wanting to face. God is in charge means you're on the right path. This is happening whether you like it or not. That's kind of like what that card says. And that's exactly it. It's about admitting it and making sure the choices that we make are based on the truth that we've been dealt. And this means honoring again and respecting your feelings. The next card to this is your life purpose. That's two cards in a row saying that this is meant to happen. You're on the right path, that this is your journey. Pay attention to your dreams is again another card of trusting your intuition, but also pay attention to your dreams. There's been a lot of vivid dreaming going around presently. Again, I'm in the last week of August, and just a lot of vivid dreams for a lot of people. This is basically listening to that. This is your messages from your guides. This is your subconscious telling you exactly the truth. So if you've been having dreams around relationships, what is it pointing out to you? I'll use something of mine, for example. I'm feeling a little bit just a lot of heartache and let down in terms of relationships and love. It's kind of like I always have this thing that I want and I can't quite get hold of it enough, because when I think I have it, there's this a lot of disappointment that comes with it. So in my dreams, I'm being told that it's like I can't even interpret the dream in the way that the way I'm discussing this, but it's like it's all showing an interpretation of like you are feeling let down in love and like it doesn't matter. And that's subconsciously what I'm feeling. It doesn't matter what connections I make, it's going to be disappointing, is literally like where my subconscious is at. That's not true, obviously, but just due to my present way of feeling in terms of love and romance, that's what my dreams pointing out to me. So that's where my healing is needed. And this is what I mean by listening to those vivid dreams. What is it telling you? And again, dreams are personal. The messages are how you interpret it. Sometimes it's good to go to others for insight, but you need to interpret the dream because you received it in the way that you received it and felt it how you felt it, because we feel the dreams too a lot of the times. That's your messages. Pay attention to that. But again, what you're going through is part of your journey, and I do feel like it's very relevant to, again, be gentle and kind to yourself through this, but to listen and pay attention. And this means listening to your vulnerability and your rawness. I do feel like there's big changes for you, Scorpio, that you're going through over these last few months, that are bringing you towards kind of next leveling your relationships with people in your life, of you coming from an authentic space and less worrying about putting on a facade in order to keep someone. You kind of want someone who's just going to stick around because they're your person and they just love you unconditionally, and that's what we all deserve. And I feel like you're coming to that space of realization. It's going to start raining, or it has started raining, so it might get louder. Hopefully not. Now, this final column is advice on how we can get to where we want to be, right? Can be in regards to relationship, but it's just in general as well. Yes, Berg? Yeah, it's raining on us. Take your time making this decision. There is no rush, even though you need to admit the truth and act accordingly. This is saying, look, you have the power to change it. Things are going to go how they're going to go anyway. So take your time and make sure that you're making decisions in alignment with you. But also I feel as though timing is everything. The next card with this is ask Archangel Michael to help you with the situation. And this to me is like, make sure you are listening to your intuition and following your heart, following your gut, making sure you're doing exactly what feels right for you before making a move. Now we have the sense of humor card, which means look at things from a lighter-hearted perspective, which means everyone's coming from a place of love. So it will help you to realize that, again, the reactions of another person, if there's another person within this, it's based on a place of love. So, for example, I said this also to the last one, which was Libra, I think. So if you have Libra in your chart, go check them out, which I already said, so you're intertwined. So you might even be with a Libra. But basically, it's like realizing that how another person acts can be, is coming from a place of love, right? So, for example, when we go for a breakup and one person is cold, basically we can then instantly think, this person's being horrible and they're coming from a place of hate and all this, but it's not. They may feel like coming from a place that's cold, it protects them. It protects, maybe it will help you. It's like if I'm cold, they'll move on quicker. Or, like a lot of people feel like if they act mean to somebody, it's better in their best interest, like it pushes them away. If we realize that they're doing it from a place of love and not a place of hate, it often comes with this realization that we're all vulnerable humans and we're all going through our own thing. So even though it's not for you and you shouldn't have to endure it, that's the whole point. It's like just realizing that person's human. Forgive them for acting the way that they feel that they have to, but also stand your space and realize that, you are not going to accept that and move on. It's like that kind of vibe. It's acknowledging and seeing the place from a different perspective, but again, making sure that you are honoring and trusting yourself through this. I do feel as though you're coming from a more higher, mighty kind of space, which means I feel like you have the capacity to not judge them, or not judge another person when they're going through their vulnerable time, but also I want you to be mindful of not matching. So if someone's coming from a place of hate, you don't also then turn and match that hate. I feel like that wouldn't be good for you, but also not for the other person. I do feel like you have love here in this scenario. It's really tricky. I feel like there could be conflict for you this month. But again, we have Mercury retrograding. Mercury retrograding brings up communication, and also so it's not the best time for communicating. So if there's that need for communication, it's just being mindful that maybe you should hold back on, and again, taking your time with communication to make sure that you're not just, again, hurting because you're hurting. And also I feel as though being mindful because another person might not